So, hello everyone, and welcome to the Talking Stick Show. So today I have a special guest. I have Aimee Miles on the show. Hello, Aimee.
Hello, Dale, and everybody.
Hello, hello, hello. So how are you doing? How's things been for you lately, Aimee?
Challenging, I would say. But we know that without the challenges, there's no growth. But I think I think that what's going on globally at the moment, it's all very new to everybody. Nobody knows how we're supposed to be feeling through this experience. And it's okay to be feeling like you're having a hard day. You know, it's part of the growth, it's part of the transformation. And I think as the earth is restructuring herself, we are also having to restructure ourselves and our lives. And it's changing and adapting to that. You know, so there's so much going on. Just when you think you've mastered one thing, and you've just pulled yourself out of the whirlwind storm and you're looking all bedraggled, you know, you just sat down and then along comes another hurricane and takes you off again. So it's just you know, going
So
with it, isn't it?
yes, so for me, when January came, it was quite a strange time because December you were so busy and focused on Christmas with your family, kind of making sure you all have a great Christmas and enjoy that family connection. Then for me, January came and I had a ceremony on New Year's Day, and afterwards I felt pretty low. Like the next day after the lockdown 3.0 came, and I was like, all of these dreams and ideas I was going to have to do more face to face stuff, do more face to face conversations. And
Yeah.
kind of that for me went on the hold there. And I had that moment where in a few days had to do a lot of self healing on myself because there was that uncertainty and that change, like you say again. It was just struck to me, and I was like, shit, right, I'm gonna have to adapt. So how was the third lockdown for you, the news and on your process, your journey? How was it for you when you heard about that?
I think very much the same, you know, the same kind of things were going on for me, where it was almost like I wanted to say, hang on, I'm not ready. I'm not ready for this yet. I've not prepared myself. But it happened, and it was like, okay, so now we're going to have to change everything again. There was a time, you know, I do feel like it really is making us go inwards. It's making us feel lonely. It's making us go into our shadow. And it's making us look at all those things that are still lingering that we need to heal. You know, so it's like taking this opportunity to transform rather than feeling overwhelmed and stressed. You know, it's okay if you have a day where you can't be bothered to do anything, you know, and maybe the next day you feel a bit more energetic and you want to be a bit more motivated, you know. But it's such a change for us. And I think as well, what I've been feeling this week or last week, because it's Monday today, is I felt there was a loneliness within me and a sadness, and I felt really emotional. So I asked, why am I feeling this way? And I think because the vaccines are coming out now, and I think there was a feeling that we are feeling collectively from the earth, like Mother Earth, is feeling disappointed because people do not believe in her. They don't believe in that she can provide what we need to heal, and the universe, you know, as a whole. It's like we're having to turn to something man-made to heal. It's like the easy way, isn't it? And I think Mother Earth is feeling that loneliness, like we're not acknowledging her enough. So that's what I've been feeling last week. That's what was coming up for me. But it was also, you know, how I'm feeling, a reflection on me as well. So that reflects on me and how I feel a bit lonely, and that sometimes you feel that people don't believe in you and what you're doing. So it's like mirroring everything. What's going on with us is what's going on with the earth as well.
Yeah. And for me as well, that time where I did feel low it was kind of, yeah, like a disconnection process where I had to go back and I had to do a lot of self work on myself and remind myself that part of a greater I'm a great part of a greater universe. I'm part of an infinite universe, and at times, because of my life, I have to have a disciplined life. I have to make sure my family are looked after, myself, the house, loads of different things like yourself with children. So for me, it kind of got a bit on top of me where I was like, I'm planning to do events. I'm planning to make a living, make a career out of what I'm doing, and kind of expand. And it was just dealt with right again, limitation, vaccines, so many different other things as well. Your limitations are there, your limitations. And it got at a point after Christmas, I feel that I was kind of enjoying the process of enjoying that Christmas time, and that was a big focus for me then. But afterwards, when the lockdown came and there was all these limitations again for me, and I was like, right, so now I'm back to this kind of feeling a bit lonely in a sense, or feeling it was like I had a day and a half of just not really feeling anything at all, where it was like I kind of became numb to who I was, and I had to go back, and I was doing some past work on it. Was all to do with some anxiety I had in round about 2012, 2013, where I had a bit of a kind of a darker moment in my path. So I had to go back and really look at that, and I had a few messages and signs come to me that there's such a greater cause out there, and I have to remind myself to do the work you're doing, I'm doing, is so important for people to understand we are spiritual beings, and it's important to do that self work.
Yeah, it is. And I think as well, there's a lot of things coming up that we've already dealt with, like old emotions, old feelings, but it's like on another level. It's like reaching another level of that, isn't it? But I think it's really important for everybody to know that we're not alone. We're all here together at this moment in time to be part of the Earth's transformation, and it's transforming us, it's transforming our ancestral line, our DNA, everything. We're all part of this for a reason. And if we just connect to the Earth, if we connect to the Mother Earth, to the heart of the Earth, we will all gather together. We're all there. We're all in that place, and it's like we're all sat there waiting. We're all together supporting the Earth as well as supporting each other. So grounding is a massive thing at the moment. I really do feel. I say it to everybody. You need to ground. You really need to feel it. And
Yeah,
feel the presence, because there's not just everybody that's on the earth present there. There's also the ancestors are there, and our guides. They're all there with us, supporting us through this. And it's just, we need to just take that moment just to be in that space, and just try and make time. And I know it's hard, like you say, when you've got your normal life to live with your children and your home and your relationship, and trying to balance everything, with everything being thrown at you. But it's like it's so important just to make that time, whether it's 20 minutes a day just to connect
beautiful.
with yourself. But we have to accept that there's going to be the vaccines. There's going to be people that aren't awake on our level, and that's okay, because they still have things that they need to experience from that reality. And maybe they've sacrificed their soul to be part of that as well. We don't know, but we have to accept that.
That's it, and accepting that we have to not step on other people's journey, and give them so much space and time and self-awareness, because sometimes those feelings do come up where it's kind of like a bit of frustration that the world isn't what you kind of want it to be, and there's that big lesson in itself where you have to accept everything for what it is, even someone on a different path than myself doing something completely different, not spirituality, and understanding that they are exactly the same as you and there's no separation or hierarchy there. They're just choosing to experience something different.
Exactly. There's no right or wrong. There's no, you shouldn't be doing that. That's wrong. Or, for people to be saying us, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be having the vaccine, or,
Yeah.
being like us. It's like there's no right or wrong way. It's just accepting. And I think this is what's happening at the moment. There's becoming a divide between society, and we're having to learn to create the balance between that. Because there's so much anger and frustration with people, that are being pulled away from that. And I think it's just about, this is where we have to find the balance, and we have to live together in both realities.
And that's it, is walking your path and walking the talk and talking the walk, where you are living your way of being a human, but you're still in the spirit world and understanding that you live upon the earth. And let's talk a little bit about the planet and kind of give a little perspective of what the planet is sharing with us at this moment. What's your feel with the earth at the moment, and what changes she's going through?
I think I feel that the earth is going through her transformation, and I feel that we are all in her womb, so we are being reborn with her energy. And this is why I feel it's really important to ground, because we need to be in that womb space, which is, the womb is a void. There's nothing. It's like an emptiness. There's nothing there, but we need to be in that space to be able to transform with her. And obviously the earth is also pushing us to clear things that, like I said before, that are lingering, so that we can match her frequency through her transformation. Nature's a big thing as well. Nature's calling to us all the time to connect with it, acknowledge the seasons, understand that the seasons are also what we go through. So like winter time, it's time for us to rest and be still. Springtime is the rebirth, and summertime's like the flourishing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's like we have to be part of this, instead of just going on trying to live our lives. And if it snows and the road becomes dangerous, it becomes an obstacle for us, but it's not an obstacle. It's like the earth's telling us we need to slow down and be present with her in this moment. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. So I do feel the connection to earth is really important at this moment.
And those seasons as well are so important, to be able to, like you say, acknowledge summer, winter, autumn, and spring, and kind of connect back to that natural way we all have lived upon through our ancestors down a long, long time ago, when we were living with the earth, say the time of Lemuria or Atlantis, where we were honoring the seasons, we were honoring the change. And winter for me is all about going into the hibernation state of really looking at my life and giving myself that self-love, because the light, there's not as much light out there, so we're kind of having to do a lot more self work on the self. There's more of the shadow which will come up to play. So for me, that hibernation state now in the winter, and say spring, like you say, is the rebirth state, where we have more light coming into our lives and we honor that change as well.
Absolutely. And also like the like with the solstice celebrations as well. I don't know if did you do anything for on the 21st of December?
Yes, I had a ceremony, two ceremonies. Yeah,
Yeah.
on the 21st, on 20th and 21st, I had like a fire ceremony. Then I had a ceremony indoors with people on the 21st.
Yeah, I did the 20th and the 21st as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's
interesting. I just spread it out. Yeah, but it was, you know, it's about honouring those special times, because that's when portals are open and we are able to access another energy and activate it within ourselves as well. And like you say, honouring it and bringing it into the earth and assisting her in her transformation as well.
and it gives as well for people who do suffer with any problems of say depression or low energy. For me, the reason why I'm choosing to do what I do is because it makes me feel balanced. Because if I didn't do what I do, and I'd be so unbalanced, and that's why I have to be disciplined. And let's talk about why discipline's important as well on the journey and how that helps us grow.
Yeah, discipline is, I mean, self-love is a massive discipline, isn't it? You know, honouring yourself, and everybody always seems to struggle with self-love. You know, it's always trying, and I'm a big one for it, because I always try and make sure everyone else is sorted before I even, you know, have time for myself. So I'm bad for that. But it is really important, you know, to have that time to connect, and also to connect properly, you know, do it in a safe way, because we don't know what energies are flying around out there. So it's always, you know, it's always one of them things where you have to, you know, honor. Creating the safe space is also honoring yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because you want to protect your energy as well. But discipline is a big thing, where, you know, daily practice, even if it's something simple as stating the things that you're grateful for when you wake up in the morning, or, you know, getting up before the sunrise and seeing the sunrise, making yourself go out for a walk even if it's raining. You know, just those things are discipline, and it's those things that you're honoring yourself, and you're honoring, you're connecting on those levels, even if you're not having time to journey or meditate, you're still connecting.
And what did you do over the winter solstice then, Aimee? What was your
I
process?
had a get together with some friends, and we had a fire ceremony. I did like a guided meditation, and we welcomed in the energies, and helped to bring it into the earth. And on the day before, on the 20th, was more of a relaxed day. So it was just like a gathering in the woods, music, playing music, and
Lovely.
eating
Eating.
by the fire. So it was just nice.
Nice.
That was a nice relaxed day, you know, just to keep the energies light as
Lovely.
well.
And let's talk a bit about your background then. So what got you onto the path of spirituality? So let's hear a bit about your story.
Well, I've not always been connected.
Same.
So it was basically, I suppose, all my life I've been a little bit different. I've always felt like there's more to life than this, but never quite found what it was. So I've lived just a normal life, you know, marriage, children, work, juggling life, a few traumas in there. And it was about 5-6 years ago now when I met my current husband, and we worked in the same place. We worked in for an agricultural engineering company, and an opportunity came where it meant that I would have to go and do the job that I didn't want to do.
Okay.
So my husband said, look, why don't we quit our jobs and start our own business doing the same kind of thing, but from home? Which was a massive thing, because when you're used to the income, you know, you've got your bills to pay and your children to support. It's like, oh, you know, but we're going to have nothing for the first month or so. But it was like, I felt like there was no other option, and I had to really just take that big leap and trust. So we did. We took that leap, and I quit my job. So I was at home doing the administration side of things, but because there's only a one-man band, it only took me like 1 day a week to do the paperwork. So
yeah,
I kind of had all this time on my hands, and I kind of worried that I would end up going crazy, you know, from boredom. So I needed to fill my, I had a panic where I felt like I needed to fill my time with something. So it made me really question, right, what do I actually want? What do I want to do? Because now's the time that I actually have the chance to do what I want to do. And I didn't know. I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do.
Was there any
So
spiritual practice you were doing when you didn't have the clue what you were doing? Was there anything you were looking into at that time?
I chose to learn Reiki, because I'd had Reiki before and I'd felt the energy and I felt it was quite powerful. So I thought I'd quite like to learn Reiki, because I've always felt the energy in my hands as well. So I thought there's obviously something there and I need to understand it more. So I went for some training to do my Reiki level 1. And throughout that process, I was seeing every day I'd walk my dogs, and every day there was a deer, every single day without fail, and feathers. But feathers were like owl feathers and buzzard feathers, not just your normal pigeon and crows. You know, every day I was finding them and I was bringing them home, because to me it was like a treasure was left. I was so excited. I had all these feathers. And I said to my Reiki teacher at the time, I said to her, why do I've got all these feathers and I've got no idea what I'm supposed to be doing with them? That I know that they're a message for something, but I've got no idea what. And the deer as well. So she advised me to go to a local shamanic group. And I had not heard of shamanism before, never heard of it. And she just said, you know, you're going to have to just go. And if you like it, then you can go again. And if you don't, then at least you've tried it. So I went to my first meeting, and I connected with my spirit guides and my power animals. And everything was so fast, you know, like spirit were just throwing things in my face so fast I could hardly see. You know, I had to ask it to slow down. But everything from that moment, it was like I came home and I was so excited, because I felt like I'd been searching for this my whole life and I'd finally found it, you know. And everything made sense. Everything that had happened previously in my life, every little message, every symbol that I'd seen, everything made so much sense to me through that first meeting. So after going to the shamanic groups, spirit was throwing me so much stuff, because it was like I had to catch up with everything. But then I decided to do the practitioner, which was like a year course, which was amazing and transformational. I learned so much from that. And then from there, then I went solo on my own and set up my own business from working from my hut at home. And since then, I think a lot of it's been like, you taught the basics, aren't you? You taught the tools, you have the tools and you know how to navigate it. And then the rest of the stuff, you have to kind of work out your own way of working with that. So it's still, you know, it's learning every day still, even now, you know, you learn something every day. It's never ending. And I've also done the done some training on alchemical transformation as well, which is very similar to the shamanic work. It's just a different concept, but it's the same thing. You know, it has the same end goal and the same principles, but it's just a slightly different way of working. So I tend to combine both ways into my work. But it's completely transformed everything, you know, my reactions, my thought process, everything that happens to me. I know there's a reason why it's happened, instead of me going into the victim mode, which we tend to do. I can take I'm able to step back now and kind of figure out what's going on a grander scale. But there's definitely been so much transformation through the process, and still, you know, like say every day is self-healing day, isn't it? Yeah. When you start working with this, but I wouldn't ever go back. You know, I'd never go back. I'm pleased that I took this path. Beautiful. You know, and I'm passionate about the work. You know, I really believe in the work that we do.
And what about the shamanic practitioner side of things? What did you get out of that when you did that year journey of the training?
That was you know, obviously a massive learning and transformation. It was gaining the tools, the knowledge, and I wouldn't say that maybe I understood it all to start with.
Yeah,
it's kind of come in time where I've, you know, things have happened, and I've reflected back to my training and gone, oh, that's what that was about. You know, so it's like everything is, you know, it's repeated, isn't it? Like I say, on another level. But it's also it's amazing because you get to meet so many amazing people on your journey as well. Once you start opening yourself to this work, you get to meet amazing people on your journey. That it's like a whole new community and friendship, isn't it?
Yeah, you know? It's like your beacons turn on and you meet your soul family.
It's like it is.
You meet all these great people.
Yeah, yes, it is. Yes.
So let's talk a bit. So I'm really excited because I love talking about this. Let's talk about the one-to-one sessions of the energy healing and so on. So let's talk about the basics of why we give energy healing and kind of go through that process.
Okay, so I see it as, when I describe it, is if you imagine our aura of energy, and within that energy, within that matrix of your aura, there are blocks that are stopping the energy flowing. So our role is to remove those blocks. Like it's almost like you're going in and you're grabbing it and you're pulling it out. So the blocks obviously are related to traumas that we experience in this life, traumas from past lives, traumas from DNA, curse related traumas where we've had a curse put on us and we're still being controlled. So when I look at it from a trauma in this life, when we experience a trauma in this life, we lose a piece of our soul. And when it creates a disformation within our energy that creates a negative form. So the role of the shamanic practitioner is to remove that negative energy, close down the trauma, and then to bring back the piece of soul that was lost. So it's like you're actually transforming that energy into the positive, into its original state. And then it's like it's reopening the pathway within your energy for you to move forward from situations. Because obviously with these energy blocks, it can create a number of issues in our lives. It can create mental illness, negative thought patterns, negative situations, and sometimes physical illness as well. So to remove that block is going to clear that energy on many levels. And then when we experience traumas in past lives, so we will have had many incarnations before we've entered this world. Some of them may not even be human, they may be in other life forms. And not all of our past lives were bad, but it's the bad ones where it's patterned into our energy again. That negative energy is patterned into our energy, and it's like we're expecting that in this life. We're expecting it and we're creating it with our energy. So it's about going back again into the past life, into that trauma, and closing it down and setting that energy free so that we're free ourselves. And then with the DNA is obviously linked to our ancestral line. So we have 2 strands of DNA, the male and the female. So it can follow down the masculine line or the feminine line. Where there's traumas in our ancestral line that's repeated through our family line. So it may be a situation, a behaviour or an illness that's repeated, and it's patterned within our DNA. So it's about going back to the source of that trauma in the DNA and the ancestral line and clearing that trauma. And that also clears it for not only our past ancestors, but also for our future ancestors, so our children as well. So that's a great way of healing through the ancestral line because it clears so much energy.
And there's that term which I heard probably about a year and a half ago about what you're healing yourself, you're healing your children as well.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, we do. And, you know, we're all connected to Earth and other star constellations, and, you know, we're connected to everything, the universe and the Earth. So when we clear that energy, we're also clearing something within the Earth as well, because most of those lives have been held on Earth. So Earth is holding that trauma within her as well, because that's where we are. So when we clear our own trauma, we're also lightening the load for the Earth as well.
Beautiful. And what are some of so say if you've got any issues in this lifetime, what are some of the kind of the big common causes for people needing energy healing? What do you see kind of in your process of when you've been doing it? What's one of the things which usually always comes up for a lot of people?
Most people, there's always past life.
Yeah.
There's always past lives to look at. And those past lives create a pattern for this life. So it creates a trauma in this life as well. So a lot of the traumas are usually from childhood, from, you know, it can be even from being in the womb, or even traveling through the reincarnation tunnel into this world. So there's always a link between a trauma in this life and a past life. There's always that. I mean, I think with everybody, we all carry ancestral trauma in this life, trauma in past lives. We all carry that, but it's whether we've already dealt with it on another level, or whether that's what needs healing at this moment in time. Because as you know, you can do a healing and you can clear that energy, and then maybe a couple of months later the same client might come back and there'll be a completely different issue. And it's whatever is happening at that moment in time for that person's energy that needs to be cleared. But it's normally you recognize when you need help with that, because you feel like you're struggling. You feel the maybe anxiety, you feel like you just can't seem to get anywhere, repeat situations keep happening, you get so far and then you get stopped again, and you know there's something on a deeper level that needs to be worked on, you know, and that's where we come in and help and assist on that.
And that's it, the kind of the reflection of the world at the moment with energy healing. It used to be some places in America that some of the churches did Reiki. That was, I think, if only a few areas of the churches do Reiki, but it feels like that's really needed at the moment, is people to understand energy healing is so important, and to not try and get into the ideology that you're going to go see a shamanic practitioner or Reiki practitioner and they're going to be able to heal you straight away. That a lot of people kind of, they go to a session, they feel great, and they just think, that's it, I'm done, and this is it. So let's talk about the importance of doing it as a process. And like you say, there's always another thing which comes up, and a lot of people think if they just go see you, that's it, all the work's done and they don't have to do anything again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing, isn't it, where I think when people come to you for a healing session, they are ready, you know, because at the end of the day, like I always say to people, I'm going into your energy and it's you that's navigating me. You're showing me where you want me to go, and I will clear that for you. But after the healing session, you're the one that's going to be processing this, you know. So you might feel emotional, you might feel angry, you might get an upset tummy, you know, because your physical body's processing it, your mind's processing it. Although we've worked on it, I've done the energetic work, you have to do the physical work.
Yeah.
You know, and there may be something that they have to do, like maybe a little bit of a ritual where they have to release the energy, so they are doing that themselves as well. But I do always I do find sometimes some people that come for a healing because maybe their partners said, I've booked you in for a shamanic healing, you're going for a healing, and they've got no idea what it is, and they come and their energy's so closed because they're not ready.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
not ready
that's
for it,
happened.
but their partner maybe thinks that they are, but
Yeah.
they're not. So for me to go into their energy, it's like I'm hitting a brick wall, you
Have you
know.
ever
And
had that where you're doing the session and because they're so closed off, it takes about 20 minutes to
yeah,
literally slowly start getting into them, and they actually, and throughout the
absolutely,
session, you're like only 70% being able to actually go and access their energy.
yeah. I mean, some people are just like so open, they're like, just go in and heal me, you know, and you're like,
Yeah,
good,
just
straight
take
in there.
me.
And then other people have got this wall up and you're like, come on. And then and like I get angry. Well, I don't get angry, but I kind of think you're here for me to heal you.
Yeah,
So my higher self is then speaking to their higher self and saying, you either let me in, otherwise this is a waste of both of our time.
yeah, yeah,
No. So it's kind of like there's also the fact that the person has to trust you as well. So generally when someone first meets you for the first time, it's like they have to feel comfortable in your energy. So you have to make them feel safe and you have to make them feel relaxed before you're able to go into their energy. And I mean, I don't get many people where the walls are really up.
yeah,
And I always say to people, only come when you feel that you're ready, and if people want a second healing, I always say, when you feel the time's right, you will know. I don't like forcing people to book in if they don't feel ready themselves. They have to be ready to take that journey, because we know the shamanic path, it's not all love and light. It's hard. You're having to face your darkness, but it's at the end of it, it's without the darkness there's no light. So it's part of the transformation, and also knowing that you're supported through that transformation. And I always offer support to all my clients, after a healing session. If they need any help, I'm always there. If they need any guidance, if they're having a bit of a tough day or anything like that. But generally, most people are ready. when they come, are ready for their healing journey to begin.
And let's talk about curses then. I've had a few clients which have come with a lot of different curses and stuff. What are curses from your perspective, and kind of how do you work on these with the clients?
I think a curse is basically where it can be from this life or past life. It can be when somebody holds onto your energy. They're holding onto your energy through a cord, and they're still controlling and manipulating it. But it's also that we allow them to control us. Like there's some attached emotion to that. So whether it be from a past life or this life, you know, some people in past lives, there's exchange of blood, sacrifice, rituals involved where you're under this curse and your energy is being used on a whole nother level, you know. So it's about going back into that time and clearing that energy. But it's really important to always have understanding as to why that curse was created, and not create anger towards it, you know, and have that mutual respect and honor it, and thank it for being present, because everything that we have experienced in our life and past lives, we have chosen to experience it because our soul wanted to experience it so it could understand all aspects of the light and the dark. So it's part of our experience, and it's just that we've not managed to let go of those things. So it's about going and back and releasing that energy.
And that's beautiful that you say that, because that's what I kind of my code and looking at animals, humans, that they're all here to experience the dark and the light, and even the animals who are being in service to us, being for our food. I do believe before they came here, they know they're wanting to experience that darkness and kind of
Yeah.
have that experience, and that's such a beautiful way of looking at Aimee, to seeing the perspective and seeing everyone, even the trauma and even the darkness. People have come with contracts to be able to experience that.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think sometimes that shocks people when you say, you know, if they've experienced a lot of trauma in their life and you're trying to tell them that you've chosen to experience this, that's the last thing they want to hear, you know,
Yeah,
sometimes. But it's important to know that, you know, whatever trauma they've experienced, it's not all been, you know, for no reason. There's been a whole experience, and they've become the person that they are today. You know, they maybe understand things on another level because of their experiences. So it is, you know, it is really important to understand all aspects and to have love and compassion for everything, even the bad stuff, you know.
yeah.
And sometimes it's hard, you know, it is hard, but it's really important to have that, because, you know, anger and fear, it only feeds it.
It does, and that the whole prophecy, and I love all the Native American prophecies of, like, say, the Rainbow Warrior, and kind of the being who is a warrior, but in a love and a neutrality format, where they are just experiencing it, watching it, and sharing their love with the whole universe, and not getting too attached to light, not getting too attached to darkness, because sometimes we can go into the light so much that we forget about ourselves, and our ego kind of blinds us, and we have to learn that we are human. We make loads of fucking mistakes. We
Yeah,
go through all this crazy shit, and we're not just love and light it all the time, 100% everything's happy. It's like
yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, we're here in a physical body, in the physical world, to experience the physical life, you know. So it's okay, you know, that we don't always eat clean, you know, and we
yeah,
enjoy chocolate and, you know, sugar, because
yeah.
those are the you know, the perks of being on earth. We're here to, this is the physical experience, the senses, the taste, the smells, you know, we're here to experience all of it. within moderation,
Yeah,
isn't it? So it's about not feeling bad and trying to just enjoy the human form, I think,
that's
as
it. And
much as
enjoying
possible.
all the food, like you say, the food. And in a lot of years, say a million years from now, it'd be great from like when you're not in this reality anymore, when you're in a multi-dimensional aspect, to taste like your Sunday dinners from that lifetime, and because they give
Yeah.
you so much joy and happiness. And that's why we're here. We're here to taste, we're here
Mm,
to experience everything and not be too clouded by ideology. And for me, that's one of the biggest things is I appreciate meat eaters, vegetarians, vegans, but I do believe that a lot of people have so much ideology about food, and they've stopped listening to their bodies anymore. So what the
mm,
body wants and the body craves, of just ignoring it, and they're just going on some ideology about global warming or this and that. And for me, I've had to go through that process where I got quite ill. I started doing the vegan diet. I became ill because I didn't have any knowledge of it. I just was
mm,
like running in 100%. And so at my process for me, I've really had to kind of use the skills to listen to myself, listen to my body. What do I truly want to enjoy?
mm. I think, like on the food scale of things, it's really difficult now to know what is good and what is bad for you, because
Yeah,
there's so many chemicals used on our crops. We don't know whether what chemicals have been used to produce a fast growth, and the same with our meat. We don't know what it's being fed. And it's really hard to know what's good and what isn't, and you end up going, oh my god, I can't eat anything, everything's bad,
gonna
unless I go out and forage
become a
for my own food, but then there's the chemicals in the air, and
yeah,
everything, you could end up being where everything that you eat is bad for you.
yeah,
But it's really important to remember that working with energy, whatever the crop or the meat that you eat, what food you eat, fruit or vegetables, you have to look at it positively, because you're transforming its energy. If you think negative about it before you put it in your mouth, you've already created a negative energy within that food, you
yeah,
know. But it's been thankful, whether it be meat or fruit and veg, because everything's here, even the plants that are here for us to eat. We should thank them before we pick them, because they've grown. We should ask before we take them from a bush or a tree or pick them from the earth. Is it okay if I take this for to feed my soul? And thank you um for giving me, the medicine or the food that you provide, and honor it. I honor
yeah,
you, and thank
beautiful.
you, and everything has a spirit, and we have to honor that, whether it be meat that's been chemically fed, whether it be fruit that's been chemically fed. Everything has a spirit, so we have the ability to transform that energy.
Beautiful. And that
Yeah.
was, for me, one of the biggest realizations when I went from, I do eat meat at the moment, um, was for me when I was eating vegetables and fruit, you're actually eating a live consciousness. So, say you've
Mm,
got the broccoli and it's alive, and you're actually intaking the live consciousness as well. So, that is so true. You have to be aware and you have to honor it and thank it, because you are eating it in a sense for
yeah,
for their service, for you to grow and nurture and love yourself.
absolutely. Everything's here, isn't it? Like you say before, we've everything's chosen to be here, so we need to thank it. And one day we may become food.
Yeah,
We may be feeding the maggots or the worms in the earth, or you know birds. We'll be feeding something, the earth.
yeah,
Even
definitely
if we were burnt, and the ashes still giving nutrients to the earth. So at some point, our physical body, our physical form, will be food for something else. When
beautiful.
it's like we'll probably be honored for our existence as well.
And there was a Native American story about the Kokopelli clans, which was one of the most inspiring stories I've heard, which inspired me to start eating meat again. Was when the prophecy and the story of when the ice mountains came and the Native Americans had nothing to eat, and the Earth Mother sent the antelope forward, and the antelope spoke to the people on the planet and saying, "Eat my flesh in service of you two-leggeds." And this was before they were eating meat. This was the first time they started eating meat, and the antelope gave themselves in service to the two-legged so we could expand our awareness and consciousness. And for me, that was such an honor, and it really hit deep with me, that story, because the animals are in service to us. They've come here to choose to experience, say, being slaughtered, giving themselves as energy, their love. That's their love sending to the two-leggeds and us. And it's a beautiful thing, even though some of the slaughtering houses are wrong the way they do it. But we have to have that level of neutrality when it comes to it, because you can go into fight and flight, you can go into anger when you see it all, and you're just feeding into the negativity, feeding into the kind of the lower frequencies.
Yeah. And like you say, with with these places that do take the slaughter the animals in the most horrible ways, again, we have the ability to transform that energy, by so it's almost like, so it's if, like some people say, when you eat that meat and it's been traumatized, you're eating that trauma. So that's why it's important to always thank and bless your food,
Yeah, yeah.
because when you're doing that, you're releasing that trauma from their soul as well before it's consumed.
So would that be a level of kind of like alchemy, wouldn't it? Using that
Yeah.
intention and awareness.
Yeah. It's like showing the love, isn't it? Love's the most powerful transformation. And I think we will have the ability to also, it's like with all this vaccine stuff, back to the vaccines, we will have the ability to transform that energy as well.
Yeah, and it's so hard, like, to talk about the vaccines or anything like that. This is why I feel these shows, what you're doing, is so important at the moment, because everything is in a way censored, controlled. If you talk about vaccines in the wrong way on YouTube, your channel's banned, and you won't be allowed on YouTube for a good few years. I know a lot of channels which can't, no one can speak about it. So like you say, it's great to have that awareness of transforming it and living in a different way, so the system can't take your energy anymore.
Mm. And these things are happening, it's part of the transformation, and we have to accept it. We have to accept this, and there's
And
always
that's
going to be other ways, and to trust in the process is a really important thing. Trust.
beautiful, and that feels like kind of what you've been speaking about, is having a different outlook on everything and coming to peace with the world. And that's why it's so beautiful. The journey you're on, the shamanic side of things, really resonates with me, because it brings you back to being a rainbow being, a seven color being, and experiencing the world for what it is, instead of giving your anger away all the time because the news says this, the vaccine does that, the vaccine does this. This has been going, all the children have been trafficked. It's been going on for a long, long, long time. But the biggest test for us and the lesson for us is to disconnect from it, to be the beings of love who are here to help ourselves and help the earth create, like you say, the coming of the new world, the coming of the fifth world of peace, as the Native Americans call it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and all this stuff that's happened, it's happened. We can't change that, but we can change. We can transform it from now.
Beautiful.
We can transform that pain and that anger and the fear. We can transform that
Beautiful.
for
And
the
so
future.
we are at the end of the show now, and it's been an absolute honor, Aimee. And I will be in touch with you for a session as well. And I'd love to have you on the show again at some point as well.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's been great chatting with you, and it's nice
Thank
to
you.
have a conversation with somebody that understands.
It's good to talk. It's
Yeah,
lovely to
it's
talk.
good to talk. Yeah.
And how can people get a hold of you, Aimee, if anybody wants any sessions with you?
I'm on Facebook, Sacred Oak Shamanic Healing with Aimee Miles, Instagram, Sacred Oak Shamanic Healing with Aimee Miles, and also my website is www.sacredoakshamanichealing.co.uk. So there's all my information on there, story, you know, events, and the healing and what it all entails as well.
Beautiful. And that's one of the things what drawn me was your name, the Sacred Oak. I
Yes,
saw that and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. So I looked in because I love
yeah,
oak and I love seeing the things as sacred. And that was, yeah, it's a beautiful name, that.
yeah. And that's because my hut is built under my oak tree.
Beautiful. And what's it
So
like having a hut outside? Because I'm in two minds about doing it. I rent out a space in York, but there was kind of that back in my mind, maybe building a hut outside in my garden.
I really like it because it's my space, you know,
Yeah,
and I can put whatever I want in there.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether are you allowed to sage all the time in that
Uh,
space?
it's kind of the fire alarm holds me back on that at the moment
Yeah,
because it's into I'm basically on the verge of getting an electrician in to deplug everything, change the fire alarms so they've got batteries so I can just take them out because I love saging the house, but this
yeah,
house we've been here, I've had to kind of smudge and more use rattles and stuff to clear out the energy instead.
yeah. I mean, there's obviously the benefit of being able to do what you want in your own space.
Yeah,
The only problem, like this time of year for me, is I've got a little log fire in there. So if I've got a client, because I do most of my online sessions in there as well at the
yeah.
moment, because I like being it's the
It's
space that
just
I've created.
yeah,
Um, so I have to go and light my fire really early in the morning for it to be warm, you know,
yeah. Okay.
in time. And so that's the only downfall of having the hut, you know, is heating it.
Yeah.
Ideally, I'd love to have my own little woodland and have a teepee in there with a log burner in, and bring people into the woods and have an amazing space. So that's my goals. That's my
Beautiful.
life goal, is to have a space like that. But yeah, and it's handy obviously when you've got your kids at home, and you know, you can just nip out into the garden and come back and then feed the kids. You know, you're not traveling to a place and back,
And
so
it
it's quite handy. So
and it's
yeah,
great that you don't have more of the client's energy in your home as well.
yeah,
That for me was so I've had a therapy room in my house quite a few times, and for me because you've got to be aware of what your clients bring into the space as well. They've got ghosts attached to them or things they leave in your home when they come in
mm,
and drop it off there. So to have that outside space where you can sage the hell out of it, you can clear it out and
yeah.
kind of it seems like a very good idea.
Yeah. I had started off in my house. I started off here, and I was like, I can't do it in my house. It's not
It's
right. It
so
doesn't
hard.
feel right.
Yeah.
No,
It's so
no.
it doesn't feel right, does it? And it kind of it's like on a feng shui level that the clients are coming in and it's affecting your home life because their energy's in it and you can't have it's important to have the separation of you living with your family and your clients, your workspaces outside, and you can go in between different ones instead of it all kind of together intermingled.
Yeah, yeah. You can kind of leave it all behind, can't you? Leave that
Yeah.
in there and come in the house and feel like you've left it all there. So yeah, it's nice to have that separate space.
Definitely.
You
Well,
know.
yeah, I look forward to having a session with you. And yeah, thank you so much again. And thank you
You're
everyone
welcome.
for watching as well. I appreciate everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and I look
Thank you.
forward to meeting you in person.
Yeah, I'd love that. Thank you, Amy. You have a lovely day. Take
You
care.
too. Take care.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Bye.